both fixture plates are finished. I've bolted them to the head, or bolted the head to them, and then bolted it to the mill using the plates. This end has 2 bolts, and the one at this end just has the one. So this one will be shimmed up and down to get the head level in this direction, and this one will get a shim each side if required to level it up in this direction. That's the theory anyway. So worked out pretty good. These bolts could be a little bit closer to the head if needed, but they've just engaged with the slots in the table, so it seems to be pretty secure. This one's, the nut is again just slightly out of the slot, but it's secure. I've done them up pretty tight and it seems to be all right. So pretty happy with how that turned out. The head is now mounted in the mill. I've had to add 3 thou each side at this end to lift this end up 3 thou, obviously. So the simple way of doing it is just using feeler gauges. I've got, I don't know how many sets, so yeah, just got 3 thou under each side, and it does show just that there is a little bit of up and down on the head, so it's not real bad, but it does go up and down a bit. Seems to be between the bolt holes, so probably just a little bit of stress from being bolted down in general use. So anyway, I think I'll leave it set up where it is and just take a tiny little skim off to get it flat. Like I said, this one, like I said previously, this head is purely for trial purposes, getting it all set up so that I know it's all good, making the little jigs and things like that. So not too fussed, but this is not too bad. This is not too bad. It does go up and down, but it hangs around 0 on the gauge, so that's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. I've gone ahead and made a cut. I've used the 10mm diameter end mill and traversed it 8 millimeters between cuts. So came out quite good. It was a very, very light cut. When I first traversed to this end, it actually didn't make a cut at all across here. So I went from a 3 thou feeler gauge to a 4 thou feeler gauge each side, and as you can see, it's then been making a cut. With this light cut, it was quite obvious that around these where the studs go through, it's actually pulled the head down. It's a little bit hard to see, but you can sort of see a shadow around each of these stud holes where the cutter has made more of a cut as it's gone over that area. As you can see, it's been a very light cut. It's still got the marks in the alloy from the head gasket, even though you can actually see where the cut's been made. It's more like a scratch pass than an actual cut. Here's part of the reason why this head's no good anymore. But yeah, I think the technique works well. It's right on the limit for this little mill. In fact, I can't traverse it enough to get the very ends of this. These little bits that stick out. So, and I can get right to the other end, but only with a couple of millimeters spare as far as travel goes. So not too bad. I will make another cut, probably, I don't know, 0.1 millimeter, something like that, just to get it all cleaned up. See, it hasn't even got into where the combustion chamber is there. This one's been damaged, so I'm not sure what to expect there. This one's the same, it's cut around it, but where the chamber is, sort of makes me wonder if Suzuki haven't made these cylinder heads just a little bit light for good rigidity. Obviously they're reliable and they go well, so, but I just wonder if you start pushing them, how they're going to handle it, that's all. Alright, I haven't been too happy with how the modifications to the cylinder head have been working out, so I decided to check how well trammed the mill was. So it's a round column mill, and unfortunately the base is secured with 4 bolts. 3 would have made life a lot easier, but hey, that's what it is. So anyway, I've set it up like this, got my boring head in the fitted to the mill, and I've got my magnetic base fitting through here just because it's a good size, this tube. And down here I've got an indicator. So just looking at it, this end I've got it set to about 0, and if we wander it back and forth here just to let it settle in, it's about 0. It's pretty close. Now if we just very carefully rotate it around to the other end of that particular piece of the table, so it's about 330 millimeters down the table. It's about 0 or 0.02 millimeters out over a length of about 330, 340 or so. So to me that doesn't seem like a whole lot. It does mean I'd have to add or subtract some minor amount from either under these bolts or the other ones over the other pair over here to get this column tilted this way. I have yet to check this direction, but this one here doesn't seem like a problem, though the error I was seeing on the head is more important this way, so I'll be checking that as well, of course. Anyway, that's it. As suspected, the alignment in this direction was not good. There was a small amount out, 0.02 millimeters, which is enough to be apparent when you are milling, making multiple runs in this direction and stepping over each time. There's a little slope on the cutter, which is it's enough. It's enough. So what that did is it's prompted me to do quite a bit of maintenance on the mill, which I hadn't really thought of before, but my mate Kev sort of set me straight on that. I have stoned up this surface. So if you look closely, you can see little spots and this all over it where it's actually polished off little high spots. So yeah, so that was something that definitely needed doing. This mill is really secondhand, so does appear to have had quite a hard life actually, which I hadn't really looked at. But anyway, I'd trained it up previously but not looked at the actual surface, so now it feels quite different. You can see it's still quite grimy, but it's flat. I've stoned it and it's come up pretty good. Now that became evident when Kev was looking at these plates. So he stoned these plates, and you can see also there's a couple of marks, and these can only have come from being clamped down onto this. So it made little dents in the aluminium. I don't think it upset the actual level. It was clamped down pretty good. So anyway, I've polished that, and then what I also did was I took all the shims that were underneath these bolts out, and I trained the whole mill again. I checked the angle, and then I've added shims. So these corners have, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 shims in it. This one has 2, and the one at the back has 1. And that seems to have got it pretty good. I spent basically the whole day working on it, and it's got 0 in this direction and 0 in this direction. Maybe 0.01 depending on how you hold your breath, but it's pretty good, I think. Now, the other thing Kev pointed out was that although these are probably okay as they are, they'll be a lot better if material is removed where I've got it cross-hatched here, just leaving a mounting pad around where the fastener goes through. So this surface is actually the one that gets bolted down onto the mill. The other one here, it was the same. So we stoned it. You can sort of see the scratch marks. There's a couple of little spots where there was little dents worked into it. So the idea is to remove where the crosshatch is, leaving pads around where the mounting slots are, and that will allow the plate to move a little bit like this, rather than, well, it'll give it a better chance of moving a little bit rather than twisting the head into shape. Not that I think it was imparting a twist, but this reduces it. So I'll leave all 3 slots, or maybe I'll just leave a strip across here. I'm not sure yet. I'll see how that goes when I get to it. So yes, quite a change. Hopefully this will work out pretty well. I'll do the cuts on this. I'm just going to take 1 millimeter off the surface where it's not required, and we'll see how it goes making the cut with this. It'll be good enough to see the pattern if there's one there, that, you know, before I could actually feel it with my nail, whereas you shouldn't be able to feel it. So anyway, I'll probably start, this will probably be the